Hi, my name is Molly Sugarman. I'm a Velosio Associate Consultant, and I work on change management on the CE Dynamics team. And today we're going to be talking about the modern work environment and how it affects Velosio employees. A time where a new technology had an impact on my career is happening right now. ChatGPT is influencing the whole world, but especially the industry that Velosio is in. ChatGPT is used for everyday life for me. I'm able to use it for brainstorming. I'm using it for organizing my notes. Here at Velosio, I'm really encouraged to use it for synthesizing my notes and everyday tasks. It encourages me to do more critical thinking tasks, and it allows me to have more time to schedule meetings, work with clients, and do more real work where I can add value. I hope that the world continues to use remote work to leverage more well being, more flexibility, and a more well rounded, positive company. I have seen myself at Velosio being encouraged to travel, for example, and while still doing high quality, valued work. And by doing that, I'm still doing really, really great work, and I'm still able to, see my family. I'm able to see my friends, and by doing that, I feel like it really empowers me to continue to do more and more high quality work. I really hope that in 5 to 10 years, remote work is still very accessible and it's still, readily available for everyone. And it's the future. I really hope it is the future for us. And the reason for this is that I think that if managers and leadership promote, for example, promoting travel with remote work, then there isn't this scarcity of wanting to travel, because it's encouraged, as long as everyone's continuing to do their best work. On the other side, I see AI continuing to strive, but more so being at the forefront of everything that we do. I see AI being a tool to help everyone analyze data more efficiently. And so for us here at Velosio, I think that everyone is going to have the ability, hopefully, to adopt this technology, and especially natural language processing, to be able to analyze data more efficiently and therefore be able to use our time to add more value in different ways, and more critical thinking of analyzing this data. I have harnessed AI to enhance my productivity by taking notes that I'm taking during client meetings, during internal sessions, and utilizing ChatGPT or utilizing the Bing chat to synthesize my notes in a correct way that will allow me to critically think upon these notes. So, for example, during client meetings, I'll jot down some large topic notes. After the call, I'll write down my initial thoughts. From there, I'll take these notes, put them into Bing Chat. Make sure to put them into Bing Chat because it's really important to make sure that we know exactly where our data is being saved. And for Bing Chat, we know that all of our data is being privately saved within just Velosio, and it's not being shared outside of Velosio. And from here, I input a specific task where I want to make sure that my notes are being organized by headers, they're being filled into bullet points, and they're being grouped into specific ways that then allow me to take the results, analyze it, share it with my manager, share it with team members that are relevant, share it with the client, and then act upon these tasks. I can also ask it to give me action items if I didn't find enough during the client calls or find it during internal sessions, in case I missed any information. I really use it, one, as a tool for organizing notes, but second, almost as a soundboard or a brainstorming tool. So I want to make sure that I share that it's not a tool for critical thinking at all, at least for me personally, but it is a really, really great tool to do low level tasks that I would call busy work. And from there, it allows me to do more sufficient tasks. When working remotely, some of the collaboration tools that I find to be most useful are Teams, specifically Teams calls and Teams chats, in addition to Word and PowerPoint. And let me go more in depth with that. So for Teams, specifically Teams chats, let's start off with that. Teams chats I find to be very informal. For me, I find it almost as knocking on a coworker's desk right next door in a cubicle. I find it to be very informal and almost asking a quick question. For Teams calls, it could be either setting up a meeting or it could be calling an individual right at hand. I find it to be really useful for getting on the phone, having a verbal conversation with someone, and it's needed sometimes to be able to determine physical, movements, facial recognition, being able to see how someone moves, and being able to gather those cues, especially when working on projects with one another. Sometimes you can't always communicate, through written text, and you need to verbally communicate with individuals. So it's really important to recognize that individuals communicate in different ways, and sometimes you need to respond in a different communication style from your own to be able to better communicate with someone else. Moving on to the different collaboration tools that I use on a very often basis, I use PowerPoint and Word very often to collaborate with my team. What we do here is, especially for PowerPoint, when giving presentations, one individual will start off with a template deck. They'll start off building the template deck, and then we'll move on to the next person and they'll add in information. And the great thing about Word and PowerPoint is that so many individuals can work on it in real time. And so I find it to be really useful for building presentation decks, building agendas, building functional design documents that everyone can use at the exact same time, and then end up with a perfect document that you can share with the client. One of the biggest sources of stress that I encounter in the modern work environment is trying to get a hold of someone. I find this issue to be very interesting because I find that this could be an in-person issue too. But for me, because we're working online, it's particularly hard right now. The way that I combat this issue is by first messaging an individual on Teams that I'm trying to get a hold of. I'll message them one time. If they're not responding, luckily on Teams, you can see if someone has read your response. So if someone has not read my response, I'll give it a little time. I might follow up with a second response. One function that I love in the Microsoft ecospace is that in the calendar function, you're able to look at shared calendars to see when someone is busy. So I would look at when the individual is busy, and then after that time, I might give an individual a call after they're free, and try to get a hold of them that way. Or I might send an email as well. So there's many different tools that we're able to utilize to communicate while trying to get a hold of them. So it can be tricky because when you're in a call with someone, being the other person, it might be challenging because you want to be totally focused on the work that you're doing, and you don't want to look at other teams' messages, and you don't want to look at your email. But from the outsider's perspective, you might be waiting on them. So it's a tricky space to be in. But ultimately, we know that if it's not critical, everyone can wait. If you're working from home and you might need some productivity tips, one suggestion that I'd have is to separate your work and life environment. So this might be having a desk that you're doing all of your work at and not taking your computer and working from your bed or working from the couch. The reasoning for this, as fun as that might be, is because when you go to your bed, you want to know that it's time for rest or it's time to relax. And when you go to your couch, you want to know that it's not time to work. You want to be able to relax, watch TV, read a book. And so if you bring your computer with you, work might linger. And so if you do the opposite and you leave your computer at your desk at the end of the day and you don't bring your computer with you, then you will separate that component and you'd know that when you're doing work at your desk, it's time for only work. And other times you'll have that space to be able to relax. Another suggestion that I'd have for you is being able to schedule breaks throughout the day. So this could be scheduling a lunch hour. It doesn't have to be an actual hour, or scheduling small 10-minute breaks throughout the day to get a cup of coffee, go pet your dog, cat, animal if you have one, take a walk outside, but scheduling that in your calendar so you know and expect what times throughout the day you're going to take a break away from your computer. And that way your colleagues know as well when you'll be stepping away from your computer, and set those expectations. That way they know that they won't be able to get a hold of you during those 10 minutes. And that way it'll help you create a more level-headed work-life balance. Thank you for joining us today. So excited to have you here with us. Make sure to check out our other modern work videos, and we hope to see you on the next one.